US President Donald Trump said that the country will take control of war-torn Gaza following his meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Trump said he is looking at long-term US ownership of Gaza, predicting that the Strip could become the Riviera of West Asia. Trump also called for the permanent resettlement of Palestinians from Gaza to neighboring West Asian countries such as Egypt and Jordan, despite flat rejections from both nations and the Palestinians themselves. Trump remarked that Gaza's 2 million inhabitants should not return to the territory, which he referred to as a demolition site. Hamas has rejected Trump's statement, saying that the remarks reflect absence of moral and humanitarian standard. Following talks with US President Trump, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, the US President's Gaza plan was different and worth paying attention to. Netanyahu also voiced confidence that he would strike peace between Israel and its regional rival Saudi Arabia, telling reporters that he as well as Trump were committed to making it a reality. In a quick response, Riyadh cleared it that it will not formalize ties with Tel Aviv unless a Palestinian state is established. US President Donald Trump urged Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to move to the next phase of ceasefire aimed at a more lasting peace. During the meeting, Trump also claimed credit for securing the first phase, which allowed for the exchange of hostages and prisoners between Israel and Hamas after more than 15 months of fighting. Hours before meeting the US President, the Israeli Prime Minister's office said Israel would send a delegation to Qatar for further negotiations. Hamas said negotiations over the second phase of ceasefire deal have already begun. US President Trump has said that he would love to make a deal with Iran, but added that Tehran should not develop a nuclear weapon. Ahead of his meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, Trump signed a presidential memorandum reimposing Washington's tough policy on Iran that was practiced throughout his first term. Trump said that he was reinstating the maximum pressure policy against Iran over allegations that it is trying to develop nuclear weapons. The memorandum instructs every department in the US government to design sanctions on Iran, especially in relation to nuclear activities. It orders the US Treasury Secretary to impose maximum economic pressure on Iran.
Many of these provisions are similar.
US President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration is in full swing. The White House said that the first set of flights carrying migrants has left for the Guantanamo military base. Ahead of the migrants' arrival, US Marine forces have been deployed to the base in Cuba. Amidst all of this, US President Trump said that he is still studying the legality of sending dangerous American criminals to prisons in other countries. The president's remarks come after El Salvador offered to jail violent American criminals.
Very simple. I'm not putting restrictions. They cannot have one thing. They cannot have a nuclear weapon.
After the White House announcement of sending the first set of migrants to Guantanamo Bay on a US aircraft, Mexico said that it will not allow the US to deport its migrants in Guantanamo Bay. In a diplomatic note to the US Embassy, the country's foreign ministry asked the US to send the Mexican migrants directly to them, rather than sending them rather than sending the deportees to the notorious base in Cuba. In the midst of Trump's crackdown on immigration, agents from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) are preparing to search and deport illegal migrants in Virginia. Several officers could be seen meeting in parking areas as they get up and turned on their radios. According to the ICE, around 900 to 1,200 people. That's 900 to about 1,200 people have been arrested so far in the past week across the country. The arrests also include those from sanctuary cities, including New York and Chicago. U.S. State Secretary Marco Rubio landed in Costa Rica as part of his diplomatic visit to Central America. Upon his arrival at the capital San Jose, Rubio said that the U.S. will provide waivers and additional biometric technology to the Central American nation. This, he said, would deter migrants coming from other continents to use Costa Rica as a transit country to enter the U.S. Furthermore, Rubio lashed out at Venezuela, Cuba and Nicaragua for causing a regional migrant crisis. He also accused them of being enemies of humanity. Amidst a looming threat of a takeover by US President Trump, Greenland is heading for parliamentary elections next month. The island part of the Danish territory will be holding polls for 31 seats on the 11th of March. Following the announcement, Greenland's parliament passed a law blocking political donations from foreign countries, fearing external interference. Incumbent Prime Minister submitted his re-election bid while adding that they are in the midst of a serious time. Meanwhile, Denmark's Prime Minister held talks over security issues with UK counterpart Keir Starmer in London. Ukrainian President Zelensky has said that he will agree to direct talks with Vladimir Putin to end the war with Russia. In an interview, Zelensky was asked how he would feel if he sat opposite Putin at a negotiating table. He said that if that is the only setup which can bring peace to the citizens of Ukraine, they will go for that setup. He added that he will be with 4 participants but will not be kind to Putin as he considers him an enemy. Meanwhile, International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA) Chief Rafael Grossi inspected an electricity distribution substation in Kiev and warned that attacks on Ukraine's power grid could pose a risk of nuclear accident by disrupting supply. In Sweden, about 10 people have been killed in a shooting at an education center, including the suspected gunman. Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson says that this is the worst mass shooting in the country's history. Police are not aware of a motive yet, but they do not currently suspect terrorism as a motive. Authorities also said they believe the gunman acted alone and he has not previously been known to the police. He is believed to be among those killed and search is going on at the school for other possible victims. Meanwhile, a candlelight vigil was held near the site of the mass shooting. Palestinians returning to northern Gaza are struggling to find food and water. According to United Nations, over 500,000 people have crossed from south to northern Gaza in the past week. Many Gazans had to walk long distances amidst the debris and rubble of their homes to get food or drinking water. Several people have complained that the humanitarian assistance is not reaching them in Jabalia camp and the northern towns of Beit Lahiya and Beit Hanun. Afghanistan's Taliban authorities arrested 2 employees of Radio Begum as it raided the well-known women's radio station. Taliban accused Radio Begum of multiple violations on social media. Taliban's information ministry said the radio station was providing materials and programs to a TV station based abroad. The ministry announced the suspension of the broadcaster, stating that they will evaluate the related documents and take a final call on the matter. Rejecting Taliban's claim, the radio station said it has never been involved in any political activity and expressed its commitment to serving the Afghan people and most especially Afghan women. Voting is underway in Delhi Assembly elections. All 70 constituencies in the Indian national capital are going to polls today. Over 1.55 crore registered voters are set to decide the political future of Delhi. Election Commission has set up a little over 13,700 polling stations, somewhere close to 2,700 polling locations. There are some 700 candidates in the fray, with Aam Aadmi Party and Congress fielding 70 candidates each, BJP fielding 68. And 2 seats go to BJP allies JDU and LJP. The Aam Aadmi Party is eyeing a 3rd term in office after winning elections back in 2015 and 2020. The Maldives has set a target to attract 300,000 Indian tourists in 2025. The latest comes after bilateral ties between both countries soured, and that saw a marginal slump in Indian tourists visiting the island in 2024. Maldives Public Relations Department said that they would achieve this ambitious target. According to Maldives Tourism Ministry, over 2 million tourists visited the archipelago nation as compared to 1.8 million tourists in 2023. Japan saw record-breaking snowfall as a thick blanket of snow engulfed streets in the northern city of Obero. A number of vehicles could be seen buried underneath the snow, as the meteorological department said that a low-pressure system and moist air caused heavy snow in the region. So far, the city was covered by 1.29 meters of snow until Tuesday morning. Authorities have put citizens on alert for transportation disruptions, heavy snow and high waves, as the snow is picking up strength along the northern and western coastlines. Alphabet is set to spend $75 billion on AI in 2025, 29% more than Wall Street's expectations. This sharp jump was defended by CEO Sundar Pichai as essential to meet AI's growing potential. But this has triggered investor concerns, especially as Alphabet missed its cloud revenue target. Shares tumbled 9% in extended trading despite a 9% gain this year. Most of the spending will go towards servers and data centers to support AI products like Gemini, which Pichai claims rivals China's budget-friendly DeepSeek. CFO cited cloud AI capacity constraints as a drag on quarterly results, and Alphabet plans $16 to $18 billion in quarter one capex alone, dwarfing DeepSeek's modest $6 million AI model training costs. Tesla's sales slumped across key European markets in January, with the UK down 12% and France plunging 63%. Declines also hit Sweden, Norway and the Netherlands. Even in California, Tesla's sales dropped 12%. The EV giant's fall from number 2 to number 7 in UK EV sales comes as rivals like Volkswagen, Mercedes and Peugeot surge ahead. CEO Elon Musk's polarizing political ties, supporting Donald Trump and far-right parties in Europe, are also denting Tesla's image. With over 130 EV models now competing in the UK, Tesla is feeling the heat. Musk promises cheaper EVs in 2025 and a focus on autonomous tech. But for now, the pressure is mounting. The yuan tumbled over 0.5% against the dollar as Chinese markets reopened post-Lunar New Year, rattled by a fresh US-China trade war. Despite the central bank setting a stronger than expected midpoint, the yuan said it slid as Beijing retaliated against new US tariffs. Analysts expect China to tolerate further yuan weakness if tensions escalate. Meanwhile, the yen surged over 0.5%, fueled by rising bets on major BOJ rate hikes after Japan's real wages grew 0.6% in December. The dollar softened slightly, giving a boost to the euro and sterling, while the Mexican peso and Canadian dollar stabilized after earlier losses.